Just be fun for once, for Christ's sakes.
No, I'm not a fun guy.
Yeah, I know. You're freaking mopey all the time. Mope.
You're a mope.
Mopeds. Okay.
That's totally not it.
That's the intro. Everyone, welcome to episode 11 of Big Business Podcast, your fantasy football headquarters.
Episode 11?
Episode
Oh my gosh.
11.
That's almost 3 months worth of content.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
This is where you come to win your fantasy football leagues and not lose them, because some content creators are terrible.
Oh, they don't know what they're talking about.
I saw this dude last night who had his preseason, like, here's the running backs you want to go for. They're going to win your league. He was 0 for 5. He's saying, don't pick up Derrick Henry. Joe Mixon's a bust. We kind of did that 2 months ago.
We did, well, but we corrected that after a week. So
we corrected it. He said Zamir White's going to win your league, and so on and so forth. It was terrible.
Nice.
Anyways,
you can trust us, I guess, is what he's saying, right?
Like and subscribe if you
Yeah.
want to win your. Just enjoy, have some laughs,
I'm having laughs.
and win your league.
This is a great time.
Super delicious.
So, episode 11, cheers.
Episode 11.
Here we go.
Yeah. Shout out to Brandon Aubrey.
BA.
BA.
He's
BA
a friend.
Maracas.
He's a friend. So, well, only his friends can call him BA, but
Yeah.
So if we ever say BA, we're talking about the one they called Brandon Aubrey. He had a
the best cowboy.
59-yard field goal. It was like nothing to him.
Yeah, he does those in
He just-
sleep.
Yeah.
Does them in his sleep because
Awesome.
he is Brandon Aubrey.
It's like how we do podcasts. Like, you would just get out there and do it. That's what he does with
Yeah,
59-yarders.
he would win the presidential election. I think.
Yeah.
I think he would have
Yeah.
won. He would have been like
Yeah, he wins Texas, and then the
whole thing.
half the battle, right? So
nothing bigger than Texas.
that was that this week, right?
No idea.
Yeah, I was checking the trade deadline.
Trade deadline was.
So I had no
quite a
idea.
bit more
There was
important.
somebody won or something.
Zadarius Smith won. That's who won, because he's now a Lion. Let's get into the sponsor.
Good
today.
intro, I think. Yeah.
Sponsor today, another good one. So, folks, this one's a pretty solid one, especially for your real estate people. Today's sponsor is Allen's Speedy Movers, the country's fastest moving company. Actually, if you're fired multiple times in succession and need to be out of a city fast, you call Allen's Speedy Movers. Guaranteed to get your lame home furnishings out of the company-owned condo faster than you can say. But what about Derek Carr?
Derek.
Leave your car behind. All right? Call Allen's Speedy Movers today. That's my best way.
I got it.
That's a good sponsor today. Good sponsor.
That was good. That was very good. Very relevant to shit going on.
I think the word's topical. You're
Topical. Very topical.
Looking for topical.
Topical.
Yeah. Fantasy implications for Allen being fired? None, because the Saints are irrelevant. You're just
They
starting
suck,
Kamara
but
anyway.
but it's good for everybody because the guy was terrible. Or as you would say, terrible. Terrible. I mean, they were banged
Charles
up, so
Barkley
he didn't
would
really
say
have
terrible.
like a good chance to.
You know what?
To run the team, they had a
Tough
good
go.
start to the season, but yeah,
Tough go. And, Derek Carr's back.
you
The
look
whole
that-
offense and defense is horrible.
When you look at that
Olaf.
Bagoo, somebody's gotta pay the price for it, right? So,
They do.
Yeah.
They do. And it should have been Derek Carr.
well, he's next. Don't worry.
Yeah, he's...
That what about Derek?
Oh my God.
It will be him next week. So,
Side note for you X/Twitter people, did you see the rant Michael Thomas went on?
I saw a bit of it. Yeah,
Brilliant.
yeah, it was great.
I don't think him and Derek Carr
That's
are friends.
we're looping that in a little bit later though, so don't give away too much of it.
I
but yeah.
apologize.
But
I
it was
forgot
good.
about that.
It was good.
I should have went through the pre-show note. Let's
Seasoned vet, eh?
Let's
You
get
just-
into the league recap.
All right,
The
let's
part
do it.
that nobody but us likes. Get through it.
I
Let's go.
love this stuff. So
Yeah.
especially when I get to say, you know who I played this week?
Yeah, you played Scane.
Yeah, I sure did, and I beat the shit out of him. So
Yeah.
it lined up in both our leagues that I played him in both leagues in the same weeks, which
Yeah.
I thought was pretty cool.
And he had a record, I think. I think he had a record.
Yeah, he broke a record, that's for
broke a
sure. And the other league that we're in, 37 total points.
Wait, isn't that league a partial PPR league?
It's half PPR. There's a flex spot.
There's a flex spot.
There's a flex spot. So there's a
37 points.
I think my kicker Brandon Aubrey and my quarterback had more points than his entire team.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it
Last
was
night,
crazy.
Jamar Chase had more points than his whole team.
Yeah. That's that. Absolutely. He would have smoked them. He beat them by a landslide. So
He really would have.
So it was nice to beat the same person in 2 leagues, and I haven't talked to him since. So if this is our only form of communication going forward,
it probably is.
Okay, I'm good.
The Simpsons character. I fell as a massive victim to King Henry's Legion.
You did. What's your record now?
Injuries, man. Like 2 of my wide receivers injured at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? So I'm in like 9th position.
Should have known better.
Right? I should have just known they had been injured.
Yeah.
Unfortunate. Just an unfortunate week. And he also had a massive week.
Yeah.
Like
he blew up.
He was number 1 in the league, right?
No, he was number 2.
Were you number 1?
I was number 1. So this is the first time.
Copy paste is number 2. Weird.
Right? He was almost as good as his big
guys
brother,
are such cheaters.
So it was the first time. So we do a weekly bonus. The top point getter gets the $50 bonus. So it was I've been in the top 3 probably like 7 or 8 times over the last 2 years. I've never won the money. So
I never won it either.
I got it. So which is all just going towards the Snorlax bounty.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
And charitable donations.
Speaking of that, Snorlax won again. How many points did he win by?
He actually won by a lot.
A lot of points.
Finally, yeah.
He had a legitimate, no questions asked.
Yeah,
win.
it was finally a week where he can, not shed all his hair on a Monday night. So
that's a lot of hair.
That's a
lot of hair.
I don't know how much he had left.
He's a bear.
First 8. Yeah.
Handsome hair. Handsome.
Very,
bear.
very handsome.
Handsome bear.
Like a teddy bear.
Oh yeah, like
he's
super
so lovable.
Yeah, very much so.
All right.
Puka, he fell short. He fell short behind a. You might listen to the pod where I said a streamer maybe Joe Flacco, who happened to have his worst game of the year.
He might have got some bad advice there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I apologize about that, but.
So had he played like just a normal quarterback that got 20 points, I think he would have won.
Well, 20 points is actually a good outing.
Yeah, for sure.
For a standard league, 20 points is a solid outing. It's not like it's a Joe
4
Burrow
points
5 TD, but 4 points isn't good.
Not a good outing.
No, 4 points is quite bad. So
yeah.
You know what?
We're really sorry about the Joe Flacco advice.
Yeah,
so.
I apologize about that.
Yeah.
High five. But you fell short. It is what it is. I also got my ass kicked too. And Hawk 2 has now won 5 in a row, and I hate that.
Which is ridiculous.
I hate it.
That's ridiculous. So the guy started Ogunabala Wally last week. Negative 0.2. Right?
He still won.
He got negative points. And he started this guy. And he still ended up winning his matchup. So if that's not fantasy football in a nutshell, I don't know what it is.
It's the same thing as like you let somebody play who's like, oh, I don't know anything about football. I'm going to pick them on their team colors. And then they win the championship.
Yeah.
You're like...
The infamous auto drafters that always just join a league and just end up winning it.
They don't talk, they don't do anything. They just
so bagoo.
It is what it is.
Yeah,
that's life.
Yeah,
that's fantasy football.
Last piece of
he's a little soapy today.
You're soapy?
Yeah, he's a little soapy. Last piece. Aside from that, soapy. Make sure it's not soapy.
I think it's good. Anyways, the last piece, Iceman made a couple moves this week. I just kind of wanted to highlight it. So
highlight it, baby.
Making quite a stir in the league.
It's if you ain't first, you're last. It's actually not true because I'm 9th.
You're 9th. Yeah,
so I'm neither.
But he doesn't tolerate shit apparently, right? Like
Iceman is ice cold.
If that's
if you're not playing well, and I see your future as not being a prospective future for me, then
I think you said that like literally in the first episode though, right? You said he goes, everyone calls me Iceman because they think I'm cold as ice and I'm cool or whatever.
Emotional as fuck.
Emotional as hell, I think is what you said. Yeah,
that's exactly it.
Yeah, and so emotional as hell. It's like, you know what, worthy. You know what? He's not getting dropped.
He wasn't worthy of a spot.
Dropped worthy. Same thing. CJ Stroud.
CJ Stroud's gone.
You know what? Nah, I like Bo Nix. Dropping CJ Stroud.
I like Bo Nix.
Just flat out, doesn't even shop him on the open market. Nothing, eh?
No.
You're just,
should have done that.
You're running like a tight ship, man.
Well, you know what? I did trade CD Lamb. And
the Lamb trade I actually like for you. I think that was good timing. It was as the Dak injury came out. But we didn't know how severe it was. I think he's going on IR.
He's done for the year.
So you got a CD added off your team.
CD's off the team
and with a backup quarterback for the rest of the year.
Yeah, and
Scary Terry's been great.
You know what? When you're on a losing team like that, like the Cowboys are, you basically have no prospect at the postseason.
It's a soft rebuild.
Your heart is not really in those games.
Right.
I don't see CD as laying out for balls like he would normally would if they were fighting for a playoff spot.
I don't even know, and that's the difference of like if he's banged up a little bit, he'll sit out a week.
Yeah.
Whereas like if they're in contention, legitimately having a good year, these guys are going to play hurt. So I like the trade. It's sneaky good because Scary Terry's been solid.
He's been solid.
Their connection with Jaden Daniels has been
super
great.
good, and they're going to be fighting
touchdowns.
hard for the rest of the season.
Yeah,
right?
he just came off of 2 touchdowns last week too. So I was actually surprised that he swung the trade with you. But
I didn't think he was going to do it.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, and thank you.
But yeah,
I think we'll see how it goes. It could be a massive failure for me. I just think that the upside, given Jaden Daniels over Cooper Rush, as far as QBs go,
for sure.
And I just think an upside for me, the way I look at it, anyways, with the contention of the teams, just not having a hard net, that unless he has an injury clause in his contract, which who knows,
Yeah.
But
He's not under contract with you, so it doesn't matter.
Not under contract with me. Probably should have shopped CJ Stroud a little bit, but
so I was mad. You know what I did? I signed Worthy. I put I had $25 left on the year.
Yeah.
We get 100 for the year, so I had 25 left over. Put 17 on Worthy, and I'm like, it's going to be the best name that comes off the waiver wire for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
So I put 17 on him to make sure I got him. I got him. Long story short, a couple days later, CJ Stroud's available.
Yep.
I only got $8 left, so
You get him?
No, I certainly
Who
did
picked him
not.
up?
Puka.
Yeah, have fun.
Yeah. Well, you know
He's
what?
lost me like 5 weeks.
But he's needed a quarterback. That's been his thing. He's been riding the Anthony Richardson train.
If
he got lucky with a Bo Nix 1 week, but so this
way,
potentially could complete his team.
If I had CJ Stroud and Bo Nix in the same team, I'd be starting Bo Nix.
Yeah.
Like there's no question right now. And I don't understand it because CJ Stroud's a better quarterback.
You're not worried about like Nico coming back. Well, not worried.
Nico's not coming back this week.
But I mean, by the end of the year, Nico's back.
He might. Yeah. Do you know what? When Nico was playing, that was obviously his guy.
Yeah.
Tank Dell's a very good runner.
Yeah, for sure. Both
With
guys,
Diggs being gone, Nico, I don't know what his health is going to be like. His offensive line has been terrible, right? Joe Mixon is a revelation for them.
Yep.
But his offensive line is giving him no time to throw a football. So he is
up until this point. I get it. If it's not CJ Stroud, his numbers have been atrocious, right? But
and that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Right. And I thought he was going to be a top 3 quarterback. I thought he was going to be like top 3 legitimately.
I kept him in our other league. I
had huge expectations for him. And I think for fantasy purposes, just for me, I wanted to get Bo Nix pretty badly. I just think, listen,
I will forever be slated by the name Bo Nix. I'll never get over that.
He's not going to be like your 35-point guy.
Right.
But I think he'll consistently be low 20s.
Yeah. He's,
So a consistent, regular low 20s, either done by his legs or done by his arm. Boy can run.
Yeah.
I would take that over going like, CJ Stroud got me 30, and then for 3 weeks straight got me 5. So
fair enough.
I'm super,
all the best to you, Puka.
Super emotional about it.
Emotional as hell.
Yeah. So get past that. Get some game tape, anyways.
Game tape.
That's some really good fantasy advice for anybody who wants to take it. Game tape. So last night we had quickly put
what a fourth quarter. My goodness.
Must be nice to have seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those things like you got to see it to believe it. You know what I mean?
You done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. He's saying this because I said last night was going to be an absolute barn burner, and it was a snooze fest for 3 quarters, to the point where, since I have very young children, I went to bed at the end of the 3rd quarter. I'm pretty exhausted. Happy I did go to bed, and then at 2 a.m, waking up for feedings, I'm like, just checking them, like, what just happened?
Everybody.
Absolute barn burner.
Yeah.
Looks like an amazing time. What I was looking for the entire game.
Yeah, what a quarter.
Just phenomenal. So the big thing I took out of that game entirely is you have to pick up and start as your wide receiver 1, Jermaine Burton.
So I threw a dig at him, so I guess he's throwing it back. So.
Yeah, you get to know Jermaine Burton, says this guy.
Jermaine Burton is a rookie. He was drafted in the 3rd round.
Jermaine Burton runs routes like...
Jermaine... No, but if he wasn't such a freaking head case, this guy would be like a name by now. Like people would like he'd be in there with like neighbors and everybody like that. I think he's that.
Really?
I think his skill set is that good. Yeah. Okay. The problem is he's missing team meetings and practices, and like he had that rap in college as well. I think that's why he fell to the 3rd round. But
So
all the talent in the world. He's set up to take Higgins' spot next year. Like, I don't think Higgins stays on the Bengals next year.
No, I don't think
so it's supposed to be like, or Jermaine Burton is going to be a piece of this team. So this was the first week where they're actually rolling him out. He was suspended on Sunday on the Raiders game. So they're giving him full routes, full like exposure, not just playing a couple snaps here and there. And he had some targets. He had two. He did have some targets. He had 2 long bomb like red zone or end zone targets. So I was just
Was that the first few quarters when he was a little bit off? Burrow was a bit off for a few quarters.
Yeah, but there was one in the fourth that you would have had to see to believe, but he almost got it.
Almost got it.
So why I'm telling you this is because he was paying like plus 700 or something like that for an anytime touchdown. So I totally said, you know what? I think this is going to be out of nowhere, and I'm going to look like a fucking genius if I call this.
Yeah, and you would have, but he didn't.
Everything else I picked went through. I went 7 for 8, and then no Jermaine Burton.
You know that screenshot I sent you?
Yeah.
Basically, Jermaine Burton's the reason why I lost.
Yeah. Well,
I had like 12 things on there.
And you don't have to listen to everything I say, right?
I had him at
never said I was a genius.
I had him at 25 yards.
Said I wanted to be a genius.
Oh no, I had him at 40 yards, I think.
Yeah,
40 yards.
Yeah, I had the anytime touchdown. It didn't happen, obviously, but
no dice on that. The Ravens secondary though is an absolute weakness.
Yeah. So as elite as they are, as much as they're set up to
for the run,
to go against the Chiefs and the winner, that's going to be going to the Super Bowl. That's
losing
what
the Lions.
Saying. But to get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but they're going to lose the Lions anyway.
Go to the Super Bowl yet, but that's a problem they got to address. Like if they're just relying on their offense being as strong as it is, which it is, something's going to slow down in the playoffs, and you're going to need defense to win playoff games.
Because you're going to go through those, like Zay Flower. Like speaking of their offense, Derrick Henry's built for obviously longevity.
Yep.
He's already older guy, and he's the number one, no question, RB
for sure.
Lamar Jackson is
Lamar
very good, obviously. MVP contender, probably doing a third.
Yeah, he's the front runner for right now.
Yeah. My concern for their offense is more their receiving core.
Right.
Just being, they're at speedsters. They got some smart guys. They obviously have Mark Andrews and whatnot. But like Zay Flowers is a smaller guy. He started playing some very physical DBs.
Yep.
He's gonna have last night. Wasn't so hot.
No, he didn't look good.
No, he got blown up a lot, right? Like he's really fast, but if you have some really tough, you take a few solid, heavy hits in some games.
But you know what? Like, so even Bateman's on that team. Bateman's a former first-round pick, and he'd been quiet for his first couple of years.
Touchdown last night.
Touchdown last night, as the Iceman predicted. So, like they are able to spread it around, but they don't have that. Like you're in a tough matchup against the Chiefs. And who's going to step up type of thing, right? So
it's weird for that like true number one wide receiver.
Yeah.
If they have some like really good WR2s, like on any other team, these guys would be WR2s.
Yep.
Behind like a big name, like
exactly.
Like a St. Brown or a D Hop or something like that big. Like he's my go-to target.
Zay Flowers is very similar to like Devonta Smith, right? So
yes.
Smith next to AJ Brown is fantastic.
Without an AJ Brown,
if he was on his own, he'd have those weeks where he'd have big weeks like Zay Flowers does. Yeah,
he's a world class.
Like Jermaine Burton. Yeah, no, I know what you're saying.
World class number 2.
Yeah, definitely.
So they're gonna have a problem with that.
They got to shore up that secondary for sure if they want to make a deep run.
And speaking of world class wide receiver ones, Jamar Chase, Masterclass.
And I never got him in any of my leagues.
No.
And I love the guy, and I think he's so good. And I have Burrow, so it would be so nice to have that type of stack.
Great stack.
Crazy.
Great stack.
Crazy, but
and.
He's in a class of his own right now.
He's doing really well.
He's the wide receiver 1, and
for a good reason.
I love the way that they're playing. I love the way that their offense rolls. Like Burrow is just slinging like crazy. So
Burrow's playing lights out. He's playing lights out. I thought T Higgins being gone would take him down a bit because he's going to have.
Yeah, I thought he'd get all the coverage, but no.
The way that they're moving around the field between the zone and the man coverage,
absolutely.
Like it's just really, really hitting on every cylinder. But again, they have one of the worst secondaries in the league. So, look into that as much as you want.
Yep.
Who the hell is Tanner Hudson or Tanner Hudson? And why is he taking Mike Gesicki stuff? Like, where'd this guy come from?
They have like a Drew Sample. They got a Hudson. They got a Gesicki. They're running.
Khalil Herbert.
There's there's so many just randos on that team, eh?
Yeah,
but Burrow's that good. Like if you're open,
Burrow's that good. Not Burrow is that good. In case Burrow is that good.
Burrow, Joe.
Because I thought you said Bro's that good. I'm like, Tanner Hudson's not that good.
Oh, not bro. No, he's nobody's bro.
Hey, bro.
Joe Cool is that good.
He's legit.
He's a quarterback that will go through his just food for thought.
He's a quarterback.
He goes through his third, fourth progressions, and he'll find these guys, right?
Yeah.
So if these guys are open, like 6-yard route or whatever, he will find them, right?
He was locked in last night, full Adderall.
Yeah.
Full like just.
He wanted. Yeah,
he was in the zone last night.
He wanted it, man. So
he was in the zone last night. He was locked right in divisional game.
But yeah, there's a lot of randos, but it doesn't matter in that offense.
But Gesicki was like I was telling people, and I still think Gesicki's better. I don't know this.
Oh yeah, no, he is for sure. But
after that 2 TD performance, Higgins is gone. I'm like, oh, Gesicki's gonna step up again. Fantasy purposes, I would be starting him. I wouldn't start him over Mark Andrews.
I would not do such a thing. And who else I wouldn't start?
Khalil Herbert?
Khalil Herbert. I would not start. He had 1 carry. Mm-hmm. He fumbled. He fell on top of it, so it wasn't a lost fumble.
He almost took out the center.
And then as soon as he drops the ball, he's like...
Just walks right over the sideline.
He's like,
I know where I'm going.
I'm not playing again.
I know where I'm going.
So
how much would you put on for an FAAB bid?
So in our league, in big businesses,
he went
for $50, half the fab for the year. CJ Stroud goes for $11, right? And Khalil Herbert goes for $50. And then I'm like, wow, he must think he's going to be really good by the end of the year, right? No, like right off the wire, right into your starting lineup. Thursday night.
The starting lineup.
So that's 2 weeks in a row. He's had some very questionable running back 2 calls. Our friend Hawk Tua, but
he's fighting for an RB too.
Yeah. So,
but he's still winning.
I know, and he's won 5 straight, and he's just donating a spot to the league every week.
If that's not fantasy football, I don't know what is.
He started. I didn't even know until the game started. I'm like, wait, what is happening? So,
can we talk about Justin Tucker for a minute?
Do we have to?
Just for like 30 seconds. Do you know who he's not?
Justin Tucker.
He's not Brandon Aubrey.
Oh, he's definitely not BA. Definitely not BA. There can only be one. So Justin Tucker, once upon a time, used to be like a BA type.
Every single year, he's automatic. The guy's missing extra points.
Yeah, that like...
extra points.
So I have Justin Tucker, so when this has all been happening...
You had 2 points last night?
It's 3.
Oh, yeah, because this league doesn't take away from misses.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
crazy, though.
Terrible. Because they had 38 points.
Yeah, no, 35. They hung up 35, but...
So I didn't see the fourth quarter.
Yeah. Take my word for it.
He got 3.
So brutal, man.
That's super bad.
He was missing a lot of 50-plus yarders at the beginning of the year, and I'm like, he'll get it together. It's okay.
If I was a fan...
Justin Tucker, you'll be fine. But
if I was a fan, I would stand up and I would say, come on, guys, you look like assholes out here.
That was the best.
That fan, the NFL had no idea.
The cameraman had no idea that guy was going to say that. He just
on him.
A random guy standing in the crowd, frustrated clearly with the snooze fest that was brewing.
It was a snooze fest at that point.
They panned to this guy in the crowd, and he goes, "Come on, you assholes!"
Yeah, you look like assholes out here.
You guys look like assholes out here.
It's going to be a meme. I'm sure it's going to be.
It's got to be. Not already. Probably is already. Yeah.
I'm going to put it up probably.
Yeah.
And what about the coach's decision? Go for 2 to win the game. Go ahead.
You go.
Love it.
Yeah, I fucking hate it.
Love it.
I hate it.
Yeah.
So there's certain teams that if you go for it, and you said it, like you said it before we even started recording. Like if Dan Campbell and the Lions did it and they go for 2 and they go for the win,
they're gonna get it.
They're they have 1 loss on the year. They're an elite team. If they lose the game on a gamble,
say that again.
They're an elite team. Yes, you got it. But the Bengals are not, right? They've had some really shitty losses. They lost to New England week 1 in a really, really strange game that they probably should have won, but they lost.
But it's the Bengals that take 4 weeks to get to where they need to be.
And then they lost to the Ravens the first time they played. They had this huge lead. The Ravens came back. Yeah. They went to OT, and then Baltimore won. So you're looking at a team that's 4-5. That has the momentum in this game. That's they outplayed Baltimore both times they played. Truly,
they did. Yeah.
So if they were you scratch those other 2 losses, if they're 6-3 going into this game, and that's different. But you go for that play, you're basically telling them we're not going to beat the Ravens in overtime. So let's just go for the win now. Whereas if they would, the way that their offense was rolling in the fourth quarter. Like they absolutely could have got the ball first and scored another touchdown. Like, that's not far-fetched to think.
I like it.
So for them to lose, it's a lot of like mental like anguish for like a team, right? They're going to be burnt out from some of these losses. Now they're 4-6.
Yeah, but do you know what? The only reason why you hate it is because it didn't work. Because like,
you know what?
If it works, that team is pumped.
Yeah, but you know what? I think
like,
there's
rolling.
There's right kind of ways to do things, and I think if that team had a couple more wins and they were set up in a better position, I think he set them up for burnout. Right? They're going to be burnt out from all these tough losses, and then they're going to be susceptible to losing to like a shit team in a couple weeks, and it's like all of a sudden stuff like that could end up for a team like them being the difference in them not making. I'm
going to tell you right now, they're making the playoffs.
They better.
Bengals are making. They'll get a wild card.
Just because I own Joe Burrow, but like in watching them, like I'm actually rooting for them. Like I want to see that team win. I enjoy their offense, watching them play. But
they will make the postseason.
I have a feeling they're not going to make the postseason now, and this will be one of the.
This is what we're gonna do.
Circle back.
We'll take a look at it.
Be one of the things.
Let's get into the news, baby.
Yeah.
Because we can talk about this all day long. Yeah. News is where it's at right now. Lots of things to talk about. Obviously, the trade deadline just came and passed.
Yep.
We won't get too much into that because really nothing fucking happened.
Well, there's a couple good things, but not
at least one really good one.
Yeah, somebody's happy.
But let's one of the things we wanted to talk about because this came out after we had discussed on the last pod. Anthony Richardson obviously being benched, super tired. He also sponsored the pod, I think it was.
Mr. Energy Drink. Yeah,
the energy drink. But it came out showcasing that a lot of his teammates, a lot of starters, just really wanted him benched.
It surprised me to see that, and then you know what? But instantly, I'm like, good. Like, doesn't really surprise me. You know what I mean? Like, it surprises me. It's a huge top draft pick, but the thing is, like, fantasy purposes, is he super talented or has the potential to be super talented? Sure.
Yeah, he's a gifted guy. He's just not ready.
Yeah. So
he's just not ready. But like Joe Flacco going the rest of the season, and then fantasy. Sorry, cut you off here.
Yeah.
Fantasy implications. I do think still, even though Flacco had that bad game, for fantasy purposes, it strengthens everybody else on the team.
For sure.
I think it does.
Yeah, I think so too. I think everybody gets a bump. Yeah. Even though Flacco had a bad week, and it was against Minnesota, and I think they have another hard match. I think they play Buffalo this week, so it's another hard matchup. So even if they lose these games, they're going to lose, whatever. And they might win, they might lose, but he's leading. And I think that's where Richardson fell short. He's not leading this team. And so when something like that comes out, instantly I'm like, wow, so he didn't even have like the support of his own teammates, right?
No.
It honestly reminded me of Carson Wentz when he was on the Eagles.
Yeah.
So he was like all the time in the world. They had the spurts where he looked great, and then he would get hurt, and it was frustrating and whatever. But then these reports start coming out on how the team was responding to him, and long story short, they went with Jalen Hurts, right? And they got Wentz out of there, but
he came in Wentz.
He came in Wentz. He was once upon a time. So I thought you didn't like puns. You love puns.
I love puns.
So
I just hate him as team.
So yeah, it reminds me of that, and he's young. He has a long way to go. He can totally bounce back, but it's just
there's one of two ways that one of two things that are going to happen. One of two things that are obviously going to happen. He learns from this and gets better.
Yep.
Right, or he doesn't, and he's going to be irrelevant next year.
Yep.
And following past that,
Yep.
This could be literally his career-defining moment.
Yep. So he's either going to be like a Jamarcus Russell, who we laugh at in 10 years from now, or he's going to be a Baker Mayfield, who would have went down that road and then he bounced back, right?
100%. 100%. Let's talk about my boy Brian BB
All you,
Branch.
buddy.
To the Green Bay fans out there, I am getting the sweater, so don't worry about it. Secondly, I'm not going to blur it out, but I'm going to do shoot you the birds. Long story short, the ejection of Brian Branch against the Green Bay team. I don't care what the refs say, as far as it being like, oh, if you slow it down, you see this, and it's kind of made those.
No, exactly.
He wasn't trying to hurt the guy. Was it 100% penalty? No question.
It was a penalty for sure.
No question, that's a penalty.
Does it warrant what happened?
No, it didn't.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And you can point to a million things that they see that happen that are very similar, if not worse, where people do get injured and their guys don't get ejected.
Yep.
Especially such an important game. I found it to be a bit of an overstep by the NFL.
For sure.
And then leading to him obviously shooting the birds to the fans, which I don't love, but I love because it's Green Bay, but I don't condone that kind of. Long story short.
I didn't hate it.
It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, right. Okay.
But you got to learn from that too. You can't be doing that. But it wouldn't happen if he wasn't ejected.
Yeah.
Penalty, sure. Ejection, no. Is Brian Branch going to be an all-pro safety for the future? No question.
Yeah.
The guy is a rock star.
Awesome.
He is everything that our defensive backs need to be. I think Terrion Arnold is learning a ton off him, and he's playing at a much higher level now. But Carlton Davis, who plays the exact same way.
Yeah.
Meek Robertson plays the exact same way.
There's no question.
We're getting back 2 more people on the defensive end this weekend, and we're getting back Josh. It's just
getting fired up again. Unreal.
But the Brian Branch ejection, super questionable by the league. Fortunately, we were playing Green Bay, so it didn't happen to bother our team.
Didn't make a difference.
You can't not play in the dome.
You know what I love, though, about that whole thing was how fired up Brady got. Tom Brady was very pro-Lion, and I love that shit. So that was awesome. But he almost got in trouble. Fox didn't end up doing anything. He didn't get in trouble. But they're supposed to stay neutral, and he was so pissed that it was very pro Detroit, right? So it was nice to see because he was right. You know what I mean? It was absolutely
this whole thing about them being neutral. Listen, these refs are part-time employees.
Yeah.
Okay. They have multiple times made a ton of mistakes. And they can, a lot of times these announcers go oh, that's, I didn't really see that. Is that not being unbiased or whatever? Leave it the way it is. Yeah. I'm glad he didn't get in trouble for it because that would have been absolute bullshit.
Yeah, no, that was
And he would have given them the double birds. Yeah. And he would have went and said, doesn't matter, I own the Raiders. And move on from there. So how about the NFL just stops doing things terribly and we just move on?
Let's can I take this one?
Yes.
Oh my God, how awesome was this?
It was incredible.
I don't know how many people after seeing this tried to do it on their own. But I was one of those people. I got about this high off the ground. And what I'm talking about is the Saquon Barkley, reverse Jumpman hurdle. It was the coolest freaking thing I've ever seen in a game.
That was the most disrespectful. I say that.
It was just to have the foresight to go, this guy's diving at me. I'm going to give him my ass.
He didn't do that.
Fucking jump up in the air and hurt.
No, he was first. He did 2 incredible moves already.
Yeah, 2 spins.
2 incredible, on its own. You're like, what? But he was already then off balance, and he goes, well, the only thing I'm going to do is just jump backwards hurdle.
I loved it, though. It was
my
awesome.
God. It was, and when I say disrespectful, I mean that, in the best way possible. Not that's just really should have done that. No, that was, amazing.
Amazingly, yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, the guy who missed the tackle probably got up and goes,
yeah, he's going to be like,
what was that?
As an old man, he'd be like, I was the guy Saquon reverse hurdled.
Sitting at a bar telling stories, eh?
That Saquon Barkley put his butt in my face and farted.
To Collinsworth or what?
He's an old Chris Collinsworth.
Posters, T-shirts,
everywhere.
Mugs. Yeah. I'm whatever's printed on that. I'm gonna buy it, eh? Because that was freaking awesome.
It's phenomenal.
It was great. So
that is a
instantly got everybody on
phenomenal.
The Eagles squad to just jacked, right?
No question. And they're already playing well.
Yeah.
Eagles look dangerous right now.
Yeah.
They look really, really good. Those colors, by the way, on the jersey, the best ones for the Eagles.
The Kelly green?
The Kelly green's where it's at. This other green,
I don't mind it, but nothing to me. And I know you like the Lions. I think the Dolphins have a nice uniform too. But there's something about the Kelly green. I always get pumped, when I see the Kelly green.
Do you know what's not a nice uniform? The Crown Royal bags that were being worn last night.
Last night, yeah. And they were selling these helmets as the gold trim and all.
It looked like a Crown Royal velvet bag.
It did look like
I don't mind the gold and purple, but it didn't look good. It just didn't look good last night.
It was weird.
Side note. So. Speaking of side notes, and this is going to be a 10-second conversation.
Yeah, we don't need to.
The Cowboys are going to be better with Cooper Rush. Anyways, next.
Can't be much worse.
All right, trade deadline just passed, like we said. We have a couple winners, a couple losers.
So we already know who he is happy about.
Well, let's be objectively speaking. We give up, and by we, the Detroit Lions picked up. Obviously, if you don't know, Zadarius Smith, 32 years old, still very, very serviceable. He's having a very good year already.
Didn't have to give up much.
They gave up
that's
essentially and everything in the wash, a 4th or 5th round pick or something,
which is totally fine, totally
fantastic. Redskins also got massive depth on their D-back line. I don't like that.
Marshawn Lattimore.
I don't like that.
That is just it just shows again what Jaden Daniels has done in Washington. It's changed the whole culture to the point where they're 7-2 and they're trading for substantial pieces, right? Getting better as the season goes and making those pushes. Like
a guy who's going to
change. Washington never is known for that, right? To acquire these guys halfway through and they're on Lattimore is amazing.
They're on a win now streak.
Yep.
that was probably their biggest deficit as a defense.
Yep.
Now, fantasy-wise...
Yeah. So fantasy-wise, what I will say is
defense,
I'm putting any AJ Brown owner on notice. He's got to play Washington 2 more times still, so that's not good for an AJ Brown owner.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, or even Devontae Smith. Like anybody, they're just gonna look. It's gonna be tough.
It's a lockdown. You know what this guy has done to Mike Evans, in his career? They play each other twice a year, every single year.
I don't know the stat, no.
Mike Evans has never gotten a touchdown on Marshawn Lattimore. As good as Mike Evans is, as elite as Mike Evans is, top 5 every year, never had a touchdown against Lattimore. Isn't that crazy? This guy's legit, man. So
yeah, that's not good.
And now he's in my division. That's awesome.
And now he's in my conference.
Yeah. So
like on a team that can win.
Yeah.
That's not fun.
Yeah.
That's not fun. Okay, Chuba Hubbard extension. Canadian.
Eh?
Ooh, the Canadian running backs, The Canadian running backs are. You got C. Brown.
I like it, man.
You got Tubes.
Yep.
I love it a lot.
It's interesting because of the Jonathan Brooks stuff. So everybody's saying that Jonathan Brooks, he's hurt, but once he gets healthy, they drafted him like he's supposed to be the best back in the draft, and he's totally Chuba's on like a loner guy, and he's going to be a free agent. And then it's going to be Brooks' backfield going forward.
But Chuba looks, fantasy purposes again.
He's been great.
Fantastic.
He's been super good.
Like, if he's your RB2, you're happy.
Yep.
You're happy.
Oh, yeah. Camper. Legitimate RB2 since honestly like week 2 or week 3. He hasn't had a bad week.
And I didn't see that coming at all.
Yeah. No, I didn't either. I thought Chuba would be good. He was a guy that I drafted in like round like 14. I was like super jacked that I got him and that it actually panned out to how I thought. But yeah, I just thought that they would ride him like crazy, give him a ton of carries, and then once Brooks was ready, they would make the transition. But this tells me this is
they're riding Chuba for a long time.
At worst case scenario, it's a split. There's no way that this is pivoting with the money that they gave him. That this is pivoting to
they gave him starting money.
Brooks backfield.
They gave him starting
$16 million guaranteed, and
but Brooks is going to be
over 4 years. It's
Brooks is going to have a rookie contract for the next few years anyway.
Yeah,
so it's like it makes sense. It makes sense.
It's a really good 1-2 punch, which I like, and it's probably the only thing like as a Panther. Yeah. Any Panther fans are I don't even know if that's a real thing. A Panther fan.
I've been to Charlotte. I didn't see any.
Charlotte's cool. Ric Flair's from there, so woo, that's cool.
Nature Boys from Charlotte. Charlotte's a hell of a town.
But at least they got one thing that you can cheer for is their running back situation. Everything else is like they've just got holes everywhere. So
yeah, mostly at wide receiver.
Yeah.
Bryce Young's actually not as bad as he seems. He's still pretty bad.
Okay, yeah. But I don't think he'll be there next year, so we'll see. But
we'll come back to that one.
Yeah.
Last piece of the news. It's just a quickie.
Yeah.
Jason Kelce. You can start that one off.
The incident. So, I mean, he's walking through. He's getting heckled by fans. He's walking the street, and somebody says a slur, a very, very offensive slur about his brother. So Jason Kelce, just being, he's a football player at heart, right? So it's like he's hot-headed, and he reacted. He grabbed the guy's phone and smashed it on the ground. It just, you know what? It really bothers me that society nowadays is just so, there is like a bunch of internet tough guys, right? And some people just need to be punched in the mouth, but they don't.
Mike Tyson said it best.
Right? They just don't get punched in the mouth. And so, like, Kelce didn't do anything wrong or do anything personal.
He didn't hurt the guy.
He's literally just, and it's not like, it's a Dallas fan yelling at Kelce. Like, there's no bad blood there. He's just literally walking the streets like a normal person, and somebody says that. Like,
yeah. And we're not going to repeat, obviously, what they said.
I'm not going
We're not
going
to repeat that.
But what
I
will say...
You can find it on the internet if you want to find it.
What I will say, though, is it's very offensive that, to me, like, I'm mad on behalf of Kelce because the people were spinning it. They were saying, well, if he wasn't offended by by that slur, that just means that he's against, like, that type of... Like that, no, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
What?
You can call somebody an idiot. It doesn't mean that like you're offended to people with like
low IQs.
Yeah. So like
I haven't heard. That's fucking
yeah. So the fact that they could spin it to like he's the villain for reacting in a situation that should have never happened is ridiculous. So I hope they said there was a police investigation.
There is.
Yeah. Like this is dumb, and I hope it doesn't transpire into anything.
Yeah.
He overreacted. At the end of the day, you have to be a role model and a professional, and he shouldn't have reacted and smashed the guy's phone.
He's a human being.
When I watched it, I was like, good.
Yeah.
But realistically, should he have done it? Probably not.
That kid is lucky.
He apologized. He said his piece.
I think there should be no more to it.
No, and you know what? It tells me the way that the world works too. That kid's probably going to get some sort of like a payout.
Oh, he'll get a settlement.
Yeah, a settlement, which just encourages all the internet tough guys out there to keep treating celebrities and athletes and like just treat them like crap.
And I thought words were violence.
Yeah. Oh, that was so ignorant.
Well, what he said.
So ignorant.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Okay. To anybody that has family or brothers or even just friends that you consider family, if someone was that disrespectful to the person that you loved, there's no question that. And I don't care about you should be at a higher standard. You're a human being.
Yeah.
Okay.
At the end of
and
the
on
day,
top of that,
react.
You're very fortunate he didn't grab your neck and do that.
Yeah.
Because that's what they said was offensive to that whole community, not just his brother.
Yep. Absolutely.
Right. It was a derogatory statement.
Yep.
And I'm not sure if you follow the pod or not, but I'm not a fan of Travis Kelce or Taylor Swift or any of those people.
Yeah. Exactly. Me neither. But,
and I 100% agree with what Jason Kelce did. Yep. And I don't care about saying that because what was said to him and his brother, Kelce is a saint for not going further than that. I'm sorry, he really is.
I think the phone smash was pretty sweet, but
it was amazing, that phone smash. And you know what? Okay, if you're as close as he was for him to just grab your phone like this, are you not assaulting his personal space? Like, I don't know what, like, it's dumb.
Yeah.
But like, you're right. You're in a man's face, a big man, and you're insulting his family and brother and being the most derogatory person you possibly can. Just like a paparazzi, you should have been knocked out.
Right.
On
the same token, I think Kelce doing the apology on
plenty.
When he's announcing before the game,
yeah.
He gave an apology, and I like the way he worded it. He said he tries very hard to be the best version of himself. He had a lapse of judgment where he apologizes for not being the best version of himself at that time, and moving forward, like he's gonna
but going
and
forward,
I think that's all it needs to be addressed, and I think that's all it he needed to say, and I think it should just rest. And I did like that. ESPN isn't doing anything. There's no
good.
Yeah, like it's not like they're taking him off the air. He's losing his job or anything.
Because like,
so they were like supportive of him. Yeah, for sure.
He's like the
this
best.
This guy potentially could be like the face of the like the NFL broadcasting network. Like
no
he's
question.
got a future in what he's doing right now, and so you'd hate to see that.
Beloved by everybody.
Yep. He's got a Christmas album coming out.
Yeah, which now is gonna go through the roof.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
It's called Smashing Phones. A Christmas album.
Smashing Phones. Happy Merry Christmas.
Okay, news done. Mm-hmm. Let's get into some fantasy things after that. Non-fantasy.
Fly through this stuff now.
We can just we'll fly through it. Okay. So again, last week we brought in Top Guns.
Yeah.
Again, we're going through 3 people per position that we think are going to be people that are going to have great weekends this weekend, and we're going to kind of tell you why. We're trying not to pick obvious ones as much as possible.
Right.
Not
these
like
are
most
guys
obvious.
that potentially could finish as the top gun of the week at their position. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
So it doesn't necessarily. Some of them might be pickups of the week. Some of them might be flyers. Some of them might be matchup based. But they're all guys who, at the end of the week, could be the top gun, right?
Yeah.
So
last week,
Flacco was a bad call. I will admit to that, but. We smashed a few of them.
We were at like 80% last week.
Cortland Sutton was like a under the radar call, right? He ended up as the wide receiver 6 on the week.
Yep.
We said Taysom Hill and Cade Otton, and they finished as the tight end 1 and 3 respectively of the week. So that was pretty sweet.
We had other ones too that were just really good. Like we had a pretty good week last week.
So yeah, we didn't do too bad.
So this is good information. Just take it.
AJ Brown got hurt, or else I think I was spot on with my assessment. But he got hurt, and then I was like, "Oh, that's gonna
just is what it is." You're gonna have injuries.
It's gonna be bad on the pod.
Football's gonna football.
Yeah,
football's gonna football.
So
let's
QBs?
talk about these QBs. You kick them off.
So first one.
This is a bit of an obvious one.
This one's a little obvious, but he's been inconsistent. But I think he smashes the Colts this week. So I'm talking about Josh Allen. Even with Cooper might not play, and Keon Coleman's going to be out. So
Keon Coleman's out. Wrist injury.
He's missing weapons, but it just tends to feel like when he's missing guys, he just rushes more.
Yeah.
And he honestly puts more pressure on himself, and he performs better. So I think fantasy-wise, it doesn't look good on paper if like the receivers are out and whatever, but he always delivers in cases like that. So I think if they're plus the Colts have been susceptible to rushing quarterbacks and big plays and stuff like that all year. So I think it's a very greenlit matchup.
I think you're looking at a 30-point plus week.
Yeah. I'd say 25 to 35.
I'm saying 30 because I think he's going to get at least 1 rushing touchdown.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Even though, because don't forget, we also have Jonathan Taylor's back.
Yeah.
Like he's still playing. He's obviously fantastic. But I think Allen's just going to really put this one on his back again and his legs.
Agreed.
Drake May versus the Bears.
Love Drake
I
May.
like what Drake May is doing, and I hate that the Patriots have him. You know, I love. I think I'm not a big Patriot hater.
I think it's good. Yeah.
I just that they've done so well for so long. I'm like, give us.
But this will take a couple years to truly develop into what it is. But we just talked about Josh Allen. This is the young Josh Allen. He looks like Josh Allen.
He really does.
He scrambles like Josh Allen.
He really does. I'll give him that.
In that play at the end of regulation last week, huge. That touchdown to bring it to over, like he showed a lot of heart,
resolve.
A lot
of resolve.
So I like Drake May. The offense, everybody's been bumped up since.
He's a big dynasty pick.
Yeah.
If you have a dynasty and he's still available for some reason, you're stashing him.
Yeah, he's a guy that in 3 years' time he's a top 8 quarterback, I think. So
at least. Yeah, we have some aging quarterbacks that are kind of phasing out. This team's
going to need some time to truly rebuild, to be competitive.
They need some wide receivers.
Yeah, they need a lot. But there's some pieces there, but he's going to be good.
For sure. And I'm thinking, inconsistent again, but I think he's playing a lot more solid now, especially with him and his boy now being on the same page. I think Aaron Rodgers against Arizona, he's another 250 yards, 3 touchdowns. That's kind of what I'm looking at.
He loves playing Arizona too. So
he does
every time, no matter
what. He's an old guy.
Team,
He's an old guy.
Whatever.
Go to Arizona.
It's dry heat, right? Everybody likes that warm weather.
It's dry heat. It's better for his inflammation.
Rodgers, even he's on a different team now, but I always go back to Rodgers when he was on the Packers, and he did that like spin move, running the.
He's not going to do that this week.
Fade away. 60-yard freaking Hail Mary. Yeah. No. Maybe to Garrett Wilson this week. But that play that he did in Green Bay, Arizona, that was probably maybe 8 years ago now. But fuck, man, that was one of the nicest Hail Marys I've ever seen in my life. Till this day.
He's
right?
and I think the Jets, as I said last week, are just gonna get better and better as they get more time together, and they're gonna look scarier and scarier. And I think this week is gonna be a big one. Arizona's top of their division at the moment. They got a weird ass division.
Crazy.
I think they go down this week against the Jets team.
Yeah, I think this is I think what we talked about last week. I think this is the Jets righting the ship and building off of last week's win. And
I think this is gonna be a juicy one for them. I think they look super sharp this week.
Super juicy
and sharp. Aside from that, let's get some running backs.
So he's kind of been an obvious choice over the last month.
Weirdly,
but
and who saw this coming?
It's like if you're playing roulette, you're hitting on red every time. You're gonna ride that hot streak. We're riding the hot streak with Kareem Hunt. 20 plus carries.
Start him.
20 plus carries and a TD every week. Against the Broncos, I don't expect that to change. I think they're going to get up big, and then I think they're going to run a lot in the second half. So I think he's going to tear it up.
We saw the Broncos get toasted last week against Baltimore.
Yeah.
So they're going to come out one or two ways because they've had a solid defense.
Yep.
Right.
No, their D's been great. So
but last week they got
been great in spots. They were 5-3 going into that Baltimore game, so there was some legitimate hype. But I don't think they're ready to play with these big teams yet. So Baltimore, KC, I don't think that they're. Yeah. I don't think they're there yet. But there's a lot of positives to draw from there. But I think KC smashes them. And
KC looks really good.
Carries.
They look really, really legitimate again. I think the addition of D-Hop has been a lot more than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I just didn't think he was going to have that much of an impact that quickly.
Yeah.
He has. And it sucks.
Yeah.
So
I was so high on the guy, and I was like, oh, he's gonna. It's not a committee, and blah blah blah. And long story short, I didn't have him in any leagues. I was like just giving everybody the golden ticket, eh? So everybody's Willy Wonka, and I'm just like I'm like a side worker in the chocolate factory. My
Oompa Loompa.
I'm an Oompa Loompa. So yeah.
I just maybe I was just too jaded because the team he was going to. Yeah. I've always liked DeAndre Hopkins. His mom didn't see it coming.
You went there again.
Sorry. But she got a couple game balls yesterday.
Yeah.
Or not yesterday, last week. She got a couple game balls. So, he's looked fantastic. The team's looked really good. Pat Mahomes is awful. That he's not. But I just for me.
He was another guy on our Top Gun
list.
Another
guy on a Top Gun list.
And he had 3 touchdowns
and he was a Top Gun last week.
Yeah.
He was a Top Gun. Now, let's look at another running back, Tyrone Tracy versus the Panthers. I can't disagree with it. The Panthers... that says it all.
It's a great matchup. It's a spot.
It's a plus matchup,
right? So
no question.
Tracy has looked great in.
He's looked
weeks.
So good.
Yeah. So there's no Singletary factored into this backfield.
None.
If anything, he'd be spelling a couple carries off of him. But this is like Tracy's backfield now.
It is, and Dayball's going to run. Just no pun intended, run with that because the better that Tracy gets in the game, the better Malik Neighbors is going to be, and so he wants
sure.
he wants to really emphasize that running back.
Yep, for sure.
So look for him to have a big week.
That's the Munich game in Munich.
Yes,
the Germany game. Yeah, this is the last overseas game of the season, but
the dumbest things ever. But congratulations.
So, you know what Snorlax said about this game at the start of the season?
What?
He goes, that because it's at 9:30 in the morning, right?
9:30.
So he's like, that'll be the week where I spend it with a wife, and I'm like, oh, football, that's not important. I choose you, babe. Like, you know, that's that game. This is that game on the schedule, right? Like,
honey, you're more important than football.
Yeah, it's the reassure your wife game, right? Like that. Football's not number one priority. Yeah.
So what you should do, gentlemen or ladies who have a lady, is you put it on at 9:30 and they'll be like, you're watching football already, and then you just knowingly go, do you know what, I'm gonna choose to watch
today, my love, not today,
knowing your team plays at 1. But he's absolutely right.
Right.
You know, this was, and you've seen it across the internet, memes are gonna win all the time. This is the final this is the final reprimand from Germany from 1945.
Right, yeah.
You know, all these things, and the final thing, just to say you lost, is you get this game on the
slow torture game. Yeah.
So he's got a good game. Jonathan Taylor, same game, right? No,
Taylor's got Buffalo this week.
Buffalo,
right?
not New York Giants.
So
I put that wrong in there. I'm like, why did I put New York Giants?
You don't have to read that.
I retyped it.
Jonathan Taylor, smash start. He's been actually, I don't think he was great last week, but nobody on the Colts was great. Just take that whole game as just like a one-off. I think their offense will be good. I think Taylor's going to get a ton. Buffalo has not been good against running backs, so I think Taylor's a smash start for sure. Well, I mean, if you own him anyways, you're not going to bench him, but he's good.
That Buffalo D. Is Matt Milano still out, right?
Yeah. No.
Okay. I'm not gonna look it up. I'm pretty sure Matt Milano's still out. They're all pro, linebacker, and without him in there, their running defense looks like a whole different game. That's all I want to say about that. But let's get into the wide receivers. Top Gun wide receivers for this week. You take the first one.
So it's a big name, but he hasn't.
But he's
done
been terrible.
Shit. Yeah.
He's been terrible.
So Tua is back. I am taking Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
This could be the big Tyreek Hill week that people have been waiting freaking 10 weeks for.
It's happening, folks.
It's on Monday Night Football. It's the whole world watching, and I think Tyreek Hill against the Rams.
A very susceptible Rams secondary.
Yeah. So the Rams lately have been in just absolute shootouts too.
They have.
Jackson Smith Njigba last week. You see how I'm working on my pronunciation?
Njigba.
Damn it! But
it's the consonants.
JSN went off against the Rams last week, and he's a poor man's Tyreek Hill. So Tyreek Hill is prime for like a big game. Like, right? He has to have a big game. If he doesn't this week, then I don't know. But Dolphins are 2-6, so it's starting to get to that point where you start winning some of these games, or else it's moving on. That was a good transition.
Pooper Rush. I just thought about that right now.
We're going to use that next week.
Okay.
Yeah. Next guy that we've got, Darnell Mooney versus the Saints.
D-Moons has been he came out of pretty much nowhere.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's been on the
Nobody
league for a few years. Nobody drafted him. Yeah. He went undrafted. He was, we thought he was going to be taking a big back seat to Drake London, Bijan Robinson, everything like that. But he's been a huge target for our boy Kirk Cousins.
Cousins getting better and better and better every week too. So
a couple of NFC North transplants down over to the hot Atlanta.
Yeah.
And
so
he's been really
Drake
good.
London's hurt too, so he might be out this week.
He's playing.
You think he's going to play?
100%.
Yeah.
Drake London's playing,
so
and you're going to start
limited,
him.
So
you're going to start him.
The Friday report will be telling. If he doesn't play, it's an even bigger bump for Mooney. But I think Mooney's been so solid.
I think Mooney's a start anyway.
And now you're playing a Saints team that just traded Lattimore away. So an even worse secondary. So
yeah.
So I like it. It's a smash start
Look for
sure.
Win. I think the Falcons, who need some wins, obviously. That whole division's kind of up for grabs.
Yeah, and, I'm Atlanta's by far the front runner, I think, right now. So unfortunate for Tampa, but I think Atlanta is rolling.
But Tampa's strength of schedule is real
good down the stretch. I'm
really hoping.
I know you like Tampa. You do.
I don't like, but I like just because they played the Lions so hard. Anyways, that's a whole other conversation. Darnell Mooney, start him up. He's going to be fantastic
Fire him
this
up.
week.
Fire
Another person you
him
want
up.
to start up this week is George Pickens.
Pick a what?
Pickens.
Pickens?
Pickens.
Pickens.
George Pickens.
Yeah.
George Pickens is going to have a game.
He's going to have Lattimore on him, though. Maybe, right?
Yes.
That's the only thing I'm worried about, but he might not even play that much because he just got treated there, so who knows?
He'll play.
Yeah.
But, like, you get these moon balls thrown to you.
I was about to say that. I swear to God, I was about to say that. Nobody can guard the moon ball.
When you're throwing moon balls.
That Russell Wilson's throwing a moon
ball. It's got good chemistry.
Yeah.
You know, and you're starting to see why Wilson's the starting quarterback, weirdly enough. And I like to hate on this guy, and we're talking about Russell Wilson, justifiably. He's been good.
He's been good. He's been good. He's 2 games in a row. He's been very good.
And his stats, though, like
and what he
across
can
the
do
board have been
and
very
his
good
accuracy
for a
and
long time.
His throwing, his passing game is
been great.
It's awesome for George Pickens. So for people who started the season with George Pickens, as good as Fields was and he was winning games, it wasn't good for Pickens. This is good for Pickens. So I don't hate this pick. I think George Pickens could
he could have a game
at any time. He could get like a 60-yard touchdown. He's just like he's one of those guys.
I think you're getting 100 yards in a TD.
Yeah.
You know, none of these people that we're saying here, with the exception of Tyreek, who may have a game that is monstrous.
Right.
These are guys that I think are going to have like 80 to 100 yards in the tutty.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Starts. Which would put them right in the
great starts.
Great starts. Top Gun level, right?
Top Gun level, baby.
Yeah.
We're looking at 16
Moving on to
points.
tight ends. You want to do this guy because he's your boy?
You actually put him in here.
I did.
You did put him in here.
I picked him.
And
just for like the reason why I picked him is like reverse logic. It's like everything is telling me that he's not, but there's no way that a player of the caliber of Sam Laporta can just continuously have bad games. So I do see him. With a tight end, all you really need is a touchdown, and you're amongst the top tight ends of the week, right? So I could see this being the Sam Laporta Sunday night game type thing. So
Ben Johnson is another level, okay? And I thought Sam Laporta would be just this heavily involved tight end, but they've not needed to.
No.
Game scripts. It really just genuinely depends on how the game flows. If there's ever a time when Detroit's in a shootout,
they've truly opened it up though with JMO being there, and
JMO's coming back this weekend.
Yeah,
and he's gonna want to showcase why you want to keep him, why you want to pick up his optional or his extension 50 or whatever. He is also got a little bit of chip on his shoulder for having that suspension. He feels bad about it. They still haven't released why he had that 2-game suspension. They never will.
Yeah, we know why. So
I
like Laporta. I think Laporta could end up with a touchdown, some yards, and
there's any game that he plays, he can do that.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think this game is a good one. The Texans defense is solid. Their defensive line's very good, but they're gonna be missing their starting edge rusher. Will Anderson's out this week.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Huge.
See, I like him even more now. So
and Nico Collins is out as well.
All right.
So the problem is, if we start getting into a lopsided game script, he's going to be out of play. But I think if there's any type of competition,
I think it'll be a close game.
Okay.
I expect it to be a close game, and it's one of those grindo games where a tight end could get some usage in the red zone. So
I think
as long as it's not that Brock guy. Every time there's a tight
end,
Brock
Wright?
Yeah, Brock Wright.
Brock Wright.
He's not wrong. So I don't know.
When he got right.
You see somebody get a touchdown, you're like, oh, Laporta, and then it's like they're like Brock, and it's like it's totally not Laporta. So
it's not.
The next guy. Draft Wizards will be happy about this one.
Yeah, so. And he's been good every week, but he's not just good. Like...
He hasn't been great, but he's been good.
Yeah, but the tight end position has been kind of like lopsided with the exception of maybe 2 or 3 people who've been pretty regular. Yeah. But Trey McBride has everything you need in a tight end, and I think he's going to have a game against the Jets. This
is another reverse logic one because the Jets technically haven't allowed any tight end. They haven't had a schedule where they're playing against really good tight ends. But I looked back at it, and there hasn't been a tight end with over 61 yards against them all season.
That's going to happen this weekend.
That will happen this week.
Yeah, it will.
Trey McBride is going to get over 60 yards, and I would pencil him in for a touchdown with that. So
they're going to need him to do that.
Yeah.
To have any success.
Absolutely. Yep.
So they're going to need him to do that.
I don't think they won't score any points against the Jets. I think the Jets are going to win the game. Maybe not handily, but it will be one of those grind-out type games where tight ends get involved. So
I think Jets win handily, but I think
that
actually showcases more fantasy value for Trey McBride. Last
Here we go.
Dalton Kincaid.
I love this guy.
DK?
Yeah. DK.
DK. This is DK Metcalf's
Royal Dalton.
younger brother.
But,
Royal Dalton.
I'm setting up. Where are you going?
Don't you worry about it.
And he's back.
I was so excited about Dalton Kincaid, I had to stand up.
Yeah, I know.
And you stand up. At least I know I'm free.
Salute.
I digress.
Our salute to Dalton Kincaid this week.
DK.
So yeah,
he's having a game against Indy. There's no question about that, especially with the people they have out.
So Allen was already on our list.
Already on our list.
So if Allen's on our list, I don't think Allen throws the ball well without Kincaid this week. So I think Kincaid's going to get a lot of catches. If it's a PPR league, that's even better.
Do you know who we should start next week?
Who?
We should add next week as defenses. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Topkins we're open for feedback and suggestions. We appreciate all your
I gave
support.
feedback in the middle of him talking.
Yeah. That's great. You want to plan next week's show as a part of this?
Let's do that.
We should plan a week in advance live so you can see what the
I think the week after this.
is. So,
Okay,
so we're moving on to the best segment, the one that everybody likes the most.
The GB&E.
Yeah.
GBU. Eagly.
That's embarrassing. That's a hooked on Kehonics right there. The good, the bad, and the oogly.
The GBU.
So, the GBU. There you go. Yeah.
Which I think is the Russian intelligence organization. The GBU.
But
the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
2 points in each. Too good, too bad, too ugly.
So
and their fantasy implications. So let's go.
So he's under the good. So you could actually say this for the first time. The hurt's so good. The hurt's so good.
I hate how good he's doing. And I don't because I don't really dislike the Eagles. Actually, I think the Eagles are great to watch. I think they're very fun. It's just I, of course, have that bet.
You do. And these last 2 weeks, because you jinxed yourself, right? So Jalen Hurts has been insanely good the last couple weeks.
He's been very good.
Even with how good Barkley has been, I couldn't even imagine how much better Barkley would be if Hurts wasn't getting all these goal line touchdowns. So he's had, I think, 3 or 4 rushing touchdowns the last 2 weeks.
But I think with Hurts being the kind of quarterback he is, opens up more holes in Barkley.
For sure. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you have to be able to play him over
quarterback. And it's pick or choose. As Barkley gets tackled at the 1, you almost know Hurts is going in on the next play, right?
Exactly.
Or Barkley is capable to score from 10 yards
20,
out,
30,
right?
40, reverse hurdle somebody at the 50.
But the offense, I almost said, the offense has just been rolling. They look like the Eagles from last year. And then it hasn't been pretty at times. Even the Jacksonville game, they were steamrolling them. They were up 22-0, and then they almost lost the game. It was insane. So there's still a sloppiness to their team. So they haven't they're not fully there where they were the first 10 weeks of last year yet.
Yeah.
But they're almost there. And
what happened at the end of last year? The second half.
There was something called a collapse, I think. But yeah, it's fine. It was. As an Eagles fan, we don't like to talk about it. Okay. So we acknowledge that it happened. But where this is going, though, I'm very, very, very high on where the Eagles are going. And when you look back on it, A.J. Brown was hurt at the end of last year, and that's when they started to slide. The whole offense looked different. A.J. Brown was hurt for the games where the Eagles really struggled this year.
Yeah.
And essentially, every time he's been healthy, they haven't been losing. So I think they're 6-3. I can't even remember now.
You should know.
Yeah, I should probably know.
They're your team.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
So I think they're 6-3. And the loss to Tampa was really bad, but that was no AJ Brown, no Devonta Smith. That loss to Atlanta on Monday Night Football was an anomaly. Literally, they were one play away from just running.
Such a good game.
It was stupid. It was a stupid game, but it was a game they could have won, and you mark that as a win, and then all of a sudden we're not even talking about the Eagles struggling. So it's funny how the perception of the Eagles have been tainted all because of that week 2 or 3 matchup, right? But
yeah, no question that does make a big.
They look great right now. The offense looks great. They're continuing to roll, and
they haven't really played any strong teams lately.
Yeah,
who have they played lately?
Well, they have Dallas this week, which I absolutely love now, even more so. So, the test, as crazy as
if Cooper Rush beats you guys, I am going to be so excited.
This whole segment will be erased if they lose this weekend. But
no,
They do have the 2 Washington games coming up, so that's going to be very interesting to see how the division shakes up. So I like the Eagles. If you got any guy on the Eagles, roll them out. Dallas Goedert's coming back this week and he's getting a touchdown. Just fun fact. So,
well, he might have 12. They're playing the Dallas Cowboys.
12 touchdowns is a lot of fantasy points.
There was I saw another we'll say like social media person about football. They're discussing they're an Eagles people.
Yeah.
And they're discussing that it was going to be like 55-3. But, since Zeke is playing okay and he's coming back, maybe it's 55-6. And since Brendan Aubrey is very good, maybe it's 55.
I don't think it'll be
55-12 because he's getting a couple field goals from 60-plus yards. And Cooper Rush is they're jokingly saying like he's an upgrade to Dak, and he gets touchdowns. So now it's 19.
I think the game will be done though, mind you, in 2 hours and 10 minutes because they're just going to run the ball for the entire game.
Yeah, and then you said Mike McCarthy's still coaching them, so it's 84-3 again. So
I love these guys.
Yeah, they're pretty funny.
Yeah, they sound like a good bunch.
And they're probably wrong.
So.
Next for the good, and you're right for putting this here.
Yeah.
I just didn't see it here. Like, I didn't see it being on this list.
Yeah.
But if you're a fantasy person that has Najee Harris, you're a happy person.
Yeah, and you've been bitter on Najee for years, right?
Yeah, especially with Jalen Warren picking up. I thought Jalen Warren would have a bigger bite out of his backfield.
And I've never been high on Jalen Warren, but there's always been like Jalen Warren people, right? So I'm just categorizing you as a type, right? JWP. But there's a lot of people that are like, Warren looks better, he's explosive, whatever. But Najee is built as an every down back. Najee is built as he could be one of the better guys, but
he's your quintessential Steeler backfield.
Yeah. And so
workhorse.
It's been 2 years of kind of waiting on the guy and watching these like 16 carries for 80 yards and then no touchdown. And so you're not feeling like the fantasy perspective of it, but he's been a solid lead back for them. But
he really has.
Past 3 weeks, he's been over 100 yards and a touchdown. 2 out of the 3 weeks, and then he's been over 100 yards all 3 weeks.
And he's going to do that again.
And I think so too, yeah. And I think the dynamic for Pittsburgh is changing. The line has gotten better this year. Yeah. The offense is balanced out, so they're not stacking the box, right? They have a quarterback who can throw the ball.
Well, put it this way, they have regardless of whichever quarterback they start, it's an upgrade over they had last year.
And question. You know what? Even from I owned Najee on all the bad years, and I don't have him this year when he's actually good. But he looks a little bit faster and a little bit stronger too.
He's just healthier. He's had some injuries. Years ago,
so last year I know there was something with the foot at in preseason, and then I think it transpired into the entire regular season.
Yeah, and then
but he just looks like he's right now. Like he looks how he looked in his rookie year when you expected him to be like this amazing running back.
And this pulls into the CD conversation I had earlier. If the Steelers last year, you're on a team that didn't really have any real upside.
Yeah,
you weren't making postseason. You didn't feel it. You didn't have a team. You didn't have a gel. You didn't have a real leader in the offense. So your play is affected.
Yeah.
Your play as any position is going to be affected. Like, you're not going to go for that extra couple yards. You're not going to lay out for something like, why injure myself if we're not really doing it? And you shouldn't say that because they're professionals, but they're also human beings too, right?
Yeah.
And they got paid, and they get paid on Sundays.
You can only run so hard and plod into a 3-yard burst into a wall, like
so many times,
20 times a game for 2 straight years.
When you're getting blown out every game.
So now there's some actual holes that this guy's getting through, and it's completely different, right?
And there's future prospect. Like, the team believes they can win any week.
Yep.
And when you believe that,
and I believe that Pittsburgh could be a legitimate contender now. Like, they're playing with the best of them. They're winning every game.
They picked up some people at the trade deadline.
Yeah.
They made some moves.
Yeah. Mike Williams, actually. So.
I like Mike Williams in the team. We didn't give it any credence, but we're gonna see where he plays out.
I think it's a low key pickup for them, but I think it's good. But,
low key pickup.
I don't expect Najee to quiet down though. Like, I'm surprised that he's been this good, but now that he is this good, it's like that's the Najee you've been waiting for. So
he's really felt screwed, and it's really it's actually kind of nice to see. I like seeing when Pittsburgh's playing well, the league just feels better.
Right.
Like the NFL just feels like
no, it does actually. I do agree with that. So
let's get into some bad. Son of a bitch.
Gotta do it, man.
You son of a bitch.
Now, mind you, I picked him this week to have a good week. But up until this point of the fantasy season, as much shit as everyone has talked about Mark Andrews and how big of a bust Mark Andrews is.
Which we've done.
My big question is Sam Laporta, fantasy-wise, up until this point, a bigger bust than Mark Andrews? Because Andrews has now turned it around. He's had some good weeks. He had a touchdown last night. Sam Laporta was going even before him in the draft. So I don't know how you're going to talk your way out of this one, but to me, he's on the bad list. Hopefully, we're both correct and he has that week this week and gets himself off the bad list. But is Laporta a bigger bust than Mark Andrews?
Ask me how many times I think about this a day.
How many times do you think about this a day?
No, like give me a number. How many times do you think I think about this a day?
I'd set the over-under at 11.
More.
14.
More.
87.
More.
Wow. 142.
More.
53.
More.
Okay.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. And the reason, like, again, we talked about this briefly as well. They haven't asked him to be spectacular.
Right.
He hasn't needed to be.
Yeah.
And I genuinely get the feeling, I get a genuine feeling that the Lions are purposely hiding a lot of playbook for postseason.
Could be.
And
Could be. It could be that they haven't needed to drop that red zone play because a lot of his touchdowns last year were red zone touchdowns. And they felt like touchdowns that, yeah, he got them all. And so he ended up with like how many touchdowns did he have last year? He had a lot. Over 10. Over 10 touchdowns last year. And then you kind of felt like, well, a lot of those could have just went to Monty. A lot of those could have went to Gibbs. Yeah. Right? So,
but the thing is, like, anytime they've drawn up a play for him this year, like in the last couple of weeks, he's been more involved than he was, especially in the beginning of the season. He's been fantastic. Catching football, still doing things. Like, he hasn't looked different. So he's also just not involved as much.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mouths to feed.
That's the weird thing, because where he got drafted, people were thinking he's going to do what Kittle's doing this year, right? And so that was the expectation.
But we've had so many home run, long freaking throws or Gibbs runs or something. They
have looked so spectacular on offense, right? So
it's been game script, but there's no question you're absolutely right. Like, it's up until right now, Mark Andrews has turned it around.
Bust.
Laporta has not.
Yeah.
For fantasy purposes.
Yep.
I don't expect it to stay that way, but until they need him to be what he is, like, he's unquestionably a very talented kid. He's just not necessarily in the great game script as much.
Yeah.
But the problem is, if you don't cover him, guess what? He's in the game script. Like, it's like teams can't be like,
as soon as
teams can't be like, oh, we just can't cover him. He's not doing much.
Yeah.
No, because he's going to absolutely toast you.
Yeah.
So, like, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Okay, take somebody and don't cover him with your speediest, linebacker DB. Well, okay, well, now another guy's open.
But again, I think the expectation when people drafted him was that you're going to get the every week production
for fantasy purposes.
Whereas now, I feel like there's going to be weeks like this week where he is good, but I don't think it's going to be an every week consistent thing that you can count on, like the Kittles and the Brock Bowers, and even the Cade Ottons now. So
I can't disagree with that.
Yeah,
I can't disagree with that. This second one that you put on here is an absolute joke because it's not true whatsoever.
No, it is.
It's not.
This is a bad list. Yeah.
Marvin Harrison Jr. is not on the bad list.
Yeah.
For what purpose?
So, I think there's like an illusion going on. Arizona's winning games, but if you own this guy, and you should know better than anybody because he is on your team. Since week 4, he has only had one double-digit performance. And so that's a month and a half, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
So you've been sitting on this guy for a month and a half, and you're waiting.
Well, I'm losing.
And again, where these guys get drafted is factored into this, right?
Oh, no question.
So Marvin Harrison going as high as he did, like the first round in some leagues, second round,
like third round.
So I think you got him in the second or the third, like late second, early third, or something like that, right?
On a team who I thought would be just peppering him.
Right. And there's no logic why he's not getting that, but it just Kyler Murray's just
game script.
They're winning, but they're not like high octane, right? So they're not airing it out. They're getting these chippy like red zone touchdowns and stuff like that. Like Michael Wilson is getting touchdowns here and there.
The worst.
James Conner's been consistent for them, but
kind of.
They're not scoring a ton of points. They're winning games with like 18 points, which is it's not fun to watch.
No,
right?
they've been boring to watch.
But by this point of the season, you would have expected Marvin Harrison to be just
there still is a lot. There's
like
half
a 15
season to
a
play.
week type guy. So
we got about a third of 2/3 almost of the season now for fantasy season.
So this is
really
the stretch run,
right?
Pick it up. So this is the time where anybody who's been waiting on him or anybody who's just acquired him because he's one of the he's one of the most tradable players right now that people are trying to buy low.
I think he's a buy low candidate.
Absolutely, he's a buy low candidate. So
right.
for now he's on the bad list. But.
Yeah, let's get to the ugly before I get more depressed. I'm
already upset. Pick on you anymore.
I know. Freaking
cheer
team.
up, man.
All right, we're good. Let's go back to the ugly.
So, oh my God, so ugly. So our sponsor
maybe
today,
the ugliest.
It is, yeah.
It may be the ugliest.
So Dennis Allen's boy. So now that Dennis Allen's out of here, next thing is like let's get rid of Derek Carr. But his freaking hospital balls that he's been throwing to these guys, it's awful, man. So
Olave maybe like looking at near the end of his career.
Yeah, and I didn't realize he had as many concussions as he did. He had a couple in college.
Yeah,
2 this year. He had 1 last year. And he is just like Derek Carr is throwing absolute death traps to these guys, right? Like he's throwing these like 7-yard slants where like these guys are giving up their bodies and getting just assaulted.
Crushed.
Yeah, so it's the cardinal rule of like a quarterback is protect your people, right? These guys are trusting their bodies like with you, you know what I mean? So like he is just.
If he spent more time on the playbook and less time on his eyeliner.
And you know what? Like Carr did that in Oakland too, eh? So people forget. But he laid out Henry Ruggs a couple times. And now Henry Ruggs is laying in a prison cell. But that has nothing to do with it. I just wanted to say that. Henry Ruggs got like a really bad concussion.
Friend of the show.
Too. Yeah.
Because there's nothing else to do right now.
We could probably get him to sponsor the show on the cheap, eh?
Oh yeah. Cameo that guy.
From a prison cell. So, Derek Carr, you're on the absolute ugly list for what you do to your teammates. So,
soon we're going to call this a naughty list because Christmas is coming.
Yeah. So, loop in your Michael Thomas stuff. Michael Thomas went on a fucking rant.
Thomas went on an absolute rant, and it was, I've used Masterclass twice now.
Yeah.
A masterclass of just Twitter Xing.
Yeah.
Hilariousness. Probably 8 to 10 tweets, I think it was, of just laying it out there, his disdain for this quarterback, and for like letting the world know. And you can think what you want about this, you keep it dirty. He's not playing in the NFL; it doesn't matter anymore.
Right.
So Michael Thomas can say what he wants. Not to mention he is a world-class receiver. At least he was for a few years.
Yep.
And he obviously had a lot to say. And did he say it? Oh yeah, he said it.
Yeah.
Oh, he let everybody know how he feels about Derek Carr. And I gotta tell you, I didn't find a tweet that was inaccurate. Yeah. I found lots of tweets of hate and maybe some hyperbole in some spots, but like, you can't say he was like wrong about how much Derek Carr's terrible, because he's showcasing himself week after week. He showcases it.
Yep.
He's putting these guys in bad positions. He's putting his coaches in terrible positions, and I never like he went to the Pro Bowl, and I just always wondered like, which guy was in the playoffs that let him go to the Pro Bowl?
He's the guy that gets to the Pro Bowl because like the 4 other quarterbacks that should have made it over him like decline or in the playoffs or something like that. Yeah, so he's a Pro Bowl quarterback, but
this is what kills me. Yeah. Like, in what era was that?
Yeah,
I don't remember the era he was like.
If you're asking, I don't know either. But
is this a Mandela effect?
Yeah.
Like in some fucking world, he made it to the Pro Bowl and was really good, and I just don't remember it.
Yeah.
Because I think the guy's terrible.
Yeah, and he's had like for every like 3 bad years he'll have one year where it's
half
like,
a year
Crabtree
really
is good in Oakland and whatever.
The first 2 games of this year, you're thinking he's going to the Pro Bowl again.
But there was some genuine hype about him coming to New Orleans and them getting better, and he was like the guy who was going to replace like the Breeze stuff and what.
Not going to do it.
No. And now that they're bad and he is older and this type of stuff's getting highlighted more.
It's not good.
But this isn't new. Like what happened to Olave isn't a new thing. This keeps happening. So
no, and what's the answer? Like, I have no idea.
Get rid of him and
and
protect your wide receivers.
I don't know what his contract is, but like you can't pay Spencer Rattler every game. You just can't do it.
Well, I don't think they're going to win many games anyways. You play Rattler for the rest of the year, and no one's getting snake bitten.
No one's getting snake bitten. Rattler snake. But you're also not going to have anybody go to the games.
Yeah.
So you want to also make money.
Yeah.
They're not an
ideal. Yeah, not an ideal team to want to manage right now. So.
It's not so hot down there. Basically, one player fantasy purpose. You want to play anyway. There is Kamara. That's basically it.
Yeah.
The rest are, good luck.
Yep.
Trade deadline busts.
Yeah.
Did you put this one in?
No, I thought you did.
Okay, let's just skip it.
I got
nothing for it.
It's like, why is that on the ugly list?
I got something.
He must have something serious to say. Right?
I got something. I was at 2
The ugly list was us putting that on there. That's ugly.
I put that on there like 2 in the morning.
Editing.
I was feeding one of my babies, and it's like, but the bus, and I was like, I can't think.
But I did put this on for our final thoughts of.
Okay, I get one final thought. You get the other final thought.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, because you start.
191.16 to 147.9. So that's like carry the 2, like a 44-point difference in Jalen Hurts over Goff in our little side bet that we've got going on. Now. So yeah. So since he was so jacked about how close it had gotten, and that Goff is trending up, and he's the MVP, and he's better than Hurts, and you'll see. And he's an MVP candidate, but for fantasy purposes, now, Jalen Hurts is taking a stranglehold on this little bet of ours.
He was, and I would start Jalen Hurts right now.
Yeah, so would I, and I would think,
but not this week.
I would go matchup based with Goff because they're too good that sometimes they just run and he gets 10 points.
A few moments later.
So good.
Hurts is so good. Hurts is so good.
Thank you.
Can I tell you something that's better though?
Do you think that blue makes my eyes look nice?
Yes, I do.
So like the blue in the grit hat that I'm going to win is going to make my eyes look nice?
Yes, it will.
Or no?
Yeah. I am going to take that stupid, whatever the hell, pop head, whatever it's called, and I'm going to smash it.
It's a Funko Pop.
I'm going to put it in my vise.
You won't have the opportunity to if this keeps up, my friend. So, what do you got for final thoughts?
I just want to tell you something that's better than that.
Okay. I don't know what that's going to be.
So, Jared Goff has thrown the football.
I'm leaving. I'm going.
In the last 30 times he's targeted St. Brown.
Yeah.
Targeted.
What do you call it, all 30?
Caught all 30.
Wow. Great.
Never been done.
Yeah. 147 to 191.
But yeah, 147 is actually the average quarterback rating that Goff has this year.
About Amon-Ra St. Brown. Coolest headstand touchdown celebration.
Super
that was
good.
Awesome. So
super good.
Amon-Ra, if you're watching the show, we appreciate the support, and that was a nice touchdown. So
and I'm gonna give one more absolute Collinsworth glazing to Jared Goff. Okay, one more glazing.
I hope everybody shut it off.
Glazing.
Right now.
Keep this one on. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think he had 26 incompletions that game. A lot of incompletions. That was like week 2 when we lost. In the games since.
Oh, nice. He hasn't had.
He's had combined, I think, 24 incompletions.
Wow, that's awesome.
Wild.
That's awesome for him.
Glazing.
Great. And our fan base is super excited for you.
I don't care. It's final thoughts. If you made it this far, I appreciate it. You know what? I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
The last thing that we put is just it's super weird. You will never see that, eh?
Yeah. Great fucking stat.
Yeah.
Give it a go.
Okay. Jalen Waddle had a touchdown last week. And he did the waddle, right?
Yeah, he did the waddle.
But he still ended up with less than 6 fantasy points. When have you ever seen that? When will you ever see that again?
You'll never see it again.
So
You'll never
touchdown,
see it.
but 5.3 on the week.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's like he got a touchdown, then he turned into Khalil Herbert.
Yeah.
And just dropped something somewhere.
Bad, so.
Yeah, pretty bad.
Yeah.
Pretty bad.
So what do you think?
I think that one's in the books, baby.
Yeah.
Episode 11.
Good luck this week, man. I hope you win. I already got the Burrow boost, so I should win. And hopefully Hawk Tua finally loses because it's been 5 in a row.
We need him to have a couple losses.
Now,
so, hey, guys, have a good weekend in your fantasy
Enjoy
teams.
your football, guys.
And we'll see you for episode 12.
12?
That's the worst Scottish accent ever.
No, there's no...